Meantime, you've got a lot of teams out there experimenting. The Oakland A's are accepting Bitcoin and now Doge for tickets. Is that something that you would ever do?
I'd have to think about that. Personally, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around Bitcoin being a viable currency. I see blockchain as extremely valuable, but Bitcoin's going to have to go a long way to go to be accepted in lots of places, to have convertibility. And people forget when we went off the gold standard, and gold is really almost, I'd call a less efficient Bitcoin, because the value of gold is based on what people think it's worth. The intrinsic value is nowhere near what the price is. So when people criticize Bitcoin, they should criticize gold as well, because gold value is only in the minds of people in the world. Bitcoin's actually a more efficient store of value. You can transfer, it's dividable. The blockchain technology is fantastic, but I think it has a long way to go. And what I'm worried about is if it goes that far, it starts to be accepted as currency, then governments often react. As people don't remember, when we went off the gold standard, it was illegal. They made it illegal for Americans to own gold. So if Bitcoin really starts to threaten the financial system in the minds of regulators and policymakers, they may say Bitcoin can't be accepted as currency, and then you'll be holding, a lot of electronic Bitcoin that probably can be used as electronic wallpaper. So that's the risk.
And if you're skeptical about Bitcoin, then I wonder how you feel about Dogecoin, even though Elon Musk and Mark Cuban love it.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of Elon, and with all due respect to Elon and Mark on that one, Dogecoin seems like a prescription for disaster for the last person who bought it before the value falls. So obviously it could be a lot of fun to buy $1 or $2 of Dogecoin, but I certainly wouldn't bet my savings on it.
What about NFTs? Are you bullish on NBA Top Shot? Because a lot of people still don't get it.
I'm bullish on NFTs in general. Essentially, as I step back looking at NFTs and being on the NBA NFT committee, NFTs allow folks to have, first of all, ownership, verified ownership, using the blockchain technology in these clips. It's analogous to having baseball cards. Back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, baseball cards, basketball cards, they were the rage. Really, these clips are just digital baseball cards. They don't degrade. You do own them, and people will own those moments forever and can pass them down. So I think NFTs have kind of democratized collecting and allowed people to really buy things that they enjoy. Really no different than baseball cards. It's kind of a modern, day collectible, paintings, baseball cards in a digital form.
And then everyone's talking about what new normal is, or, how much of old normal comes back. Obviously more people are going to be working from home. We're looking at a more hybrid work environment, but what about sports? Is there anything that you've learned or will have taken from the last year, and will that change the way the game is played going forward?
Well, I think we've learned, first of all, that sports is a great unifying force. Even in this pandemic, it's the most watched event. It ties people together, and you've seen the NFL rights deal go up because of that. I think the pandemic really hit home with me in terms of how important those gatherings were. Going and seeing all the fans in the Garden, uniting behind one cause in all the sports. So I think it's proven. It's been a tough year, but it's proven how valuable sports are to the nation, to the psyche, to the world, and we're really glad to be part of that. In terms of the work environment, I think you're going to see changes there. You won't see wholesale changes, but I'd have to say the productivity of let's say in our business, we're looking at 4 or 5 businesses every week to invest into. You can now look at 10 or 15 because of the convention of COVID. You don't have to travel to Los Angeles to spend a day with the management team. You can spend half a day, see the presentation, decide whether you want to take a second step or look at it and screen it, and then you can do another one. So it kind of doubles and triples productivity if everybody's on the same page and you decide to do all first meetings regarding investing on the internet. So we've been very productive at Bain Capital. Now it's very isolating for our workers, and we want to get back in the office. But I think there'll be some long-term gains in terms of having a very productive board meeting on it. Let's say on a company, I'm on the board of Axis Bank in India, rather than having a day fly to India, a day board meeting, and a day flying back. I can now do that in the 8 hours of just the time that's allotted. And that obviously is a huge productivity tool. So at the margin, I think you'll see higher productivity, more usage of that for first meetings to see if there's a meeting of the minds, and then people will fly out and visit businesses and visit companies again. So I think it's just a continuing evolution in how communications has knit the world together, knitted the United States together, and continue to make things more productive and capital flowing more efficiently.